This is the Dr. Duke Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show. I am Dr. Duke, and I'm joined today by Vicki McKenna. Vicki, hey.
Hey.
You know, when... Sup, girl.
Sup, dude.
We're going to kill our 15 minutes here, but I like it. We're kind of grooving. Oh, wait. Are we culturally appropriating something right now? Bad host. Bad hosts. Well, hey, at word to your mother, I mean, that's Vanilla Ice. He's our peeps. We're allowed to do this, right? Anyway.
You can be your peeps.
You know, just when you think public schools can't, and education in this country can't become more bizarre, we now have a story that is serious and annoying, but it's almost to the point of laughter. In a warped way. We have daycare workers, young people looking at overseeing little kids who are arrested for running a child fight ring in South Carolina. I guess since they banned cockfighting in South Carolina, entrepreneurs decided, hey, let's have kids, little 3 and 4-year-olds, beat each other up instead. We do have a video. Let's watch the video. I'll turn it over to you, Vicki.
Newberry County Sheriff Lee Foster incredulous following the arrest of 2 daycare workers at Kids Unlimited in Prosperity for allegedly encouraging kids to fight.
And they kind of looked at it as something maybe almost equivalent to a sporting event, to where they were kind of trying to motivate the kids into participating in that.
Erica Sarai Jones and Serena Caldwell appeared in bond court Thursday on child abuse and neglect charges. The incident report lists at least 14 juvenile victims between the ages of 3 and 4. After reviewing security footage, the daycare immediately alerted the sheriff's office and fired Jones and Caldwell.
We've had daycare workers that have assaulted children, and daycare workers that may have taken punishment a bit too far, but nothing like this. I've never seen anything like this in my life.
In addition to inciting these kids to fight, Caldwell's also accused of striking one of the young children with a box of baby wipes. One parent who wished to remain anonymous says she doesn't believe this is indicative of a culture at the daycare.
I hate that these 2 women kind of tarnished the name of this daycare, but at the same time, I'm glad that it was caught and they will have to serve justice. But at the end of the day, there's no real justice, because how do you remove that from a child's head? You've altered their life.
So 14 3 and 4-year-olds, Vicki, were victimized by these 2 daycare workers who pushed them into and encouraged them and even threatened them to engage in fighting with each other. As the police officer said, to these 2 people, it was almost like a sport to them.
I wonder if they were taking it placing bets on this. So, hey, let's turn the little kids. What better way to turn the little kids into predators than to unleash children on each other for no reason? You've seen these videos all over TikTok or Twitter or Facebook or whatever of violent young people for no reason walking up to people who are doing nothing and beating the absolute hell out of them. There was just a case in Las Vegas of a young 17-year-old boy who was beaten by, I think, something like 11 kids around his age, maybe younger than him. There's video of a man walking up to a homeless guy who's just sitting on the curb and blowing him away. So you teach kids young not to value humanity, not to value each other in ways that are, anything but utilitarian, and in encouraging them to adopt a worldview that is anything except dog eat dog, rat eat rat. And that's what these people were doing. That mom's right. How do you undo that with those kids? It is abuse, what they were doing. But I don't know if it's not indicative, maybe not indicative of daycares, but I think the culture suggests that this is something that is probably more prevalent than we think.
I mean, you make a great point. And why is it that well, I think I sadly know the argument, but I want you to hear it. I want to hear it from you. We have a situation where we're being told by all the elites, all the educrats, all the progressives, that your kids, your and my kids, are much safer in the public schools, that homeschooling is threatening, that kids are getting abused because they don't go out, that the safest place, apparently, for a child in America, the only safe place, is in a public school and public daycares and public colleges. And you look around the country, like you said, and you see how violent, angry, depressed, brutal, unempathetic, politicized, rage-induced young kids. We're talking about 4 and 5-year-olds all the way through college. When does the majority of American moms figure out that the least place for your kids in terms of anger management and depression and rage, the worst place you can put your kid is in a public school? When do they put those two things together?
And a daycare center, and a public daycare center. The worst place, period, is for your child to be with anybody except for you. And that's something that we won't talk about more broadly, which is this sort of normal condition in the West and in the United States where kids are at daycare. You must put your child in daycare because mom is working. And mom is working, so mom can't homeschool. And the whole, it's all based on an economic excuse that we can't afford to do this. I don't know how you can afford daycare, but you can't, which is incredibly expensive, probably including the violent one there in South Carolina. But why have we permitted the creation of a permanent reliability on women working instead of taking care of their kids? Someone I know who just had a baby, I thought, I'm cheering her on, going, just stay home, come back to work. Unfortunately, I was disappointed. She came back to work with a brand new baby. Why would we be doing that? Why is our culture encouraging the necessity of dual income households? Where when I was a kid, and admittedly, I mean, I'm getting up there in years, but it doesn't seem like that long ago, my mom stayed home. We were not wealthy. We were at the lower end of the working class income scale, and somehow my mom and dad did that. And is it that we don't demand sacrifice? Is that inflation has made everything cost so much? I don't know, but we should be working on that problem, because to your point, there is nothing good coming out of public daycare, public education, public college, public institutions of any kind. It's a dumpster fire.
And we have to remind people in this segment, go to the opposite extreme, the college kids that are supporting Hamas, that are blindly calling for the eradication of Jews from the Middle East. And they don't see these college kids who are they're all in for social justice. They're all in for equity. They're all in for empathy. And they have absolutely no sympathy, no empathy for the raping of little children, the beheading of babies.
Yes. Where do you learn that?
Nothing at all. Where do you notice what is so? This is what when the crisis comes, Vicki, when the last straw is on the camel's back, we're going to look back, whoever's doing the history, and they're going to say, the inability of American kids, young people, to recognize that when they say they care about justice and they support injustice, the inability of Americans to see the difference between what they say they want and what they're choosing, that's the end of civilization.
Yeah, and we could be getting there, because as our generation ages out, we're younger than the baby boomers. They're dying. As our generation ages out, and the millennial generation, which maybe still retains a modicum of ethics, and they get to the point where they're our age, what's going to be left behind is a massive population of atavistic youth who are going to be inheriting all these institutions. They will be inheriting the judiciary, the levers of power in Congress, the IRS, the DOJ, all state government. And if they don't have a basic morality, which if you put them in public institutions from daycare to K-12 to college, the point of those institutions is to erase any kind of morality, moral underpinning, core value system you would want to give to your children. The point of it is to erase that and unleash them in a revolutionary way against the rest of this culture. If people don't recognize that's going to happen, and most of us are going to be alive for at least a short period of time while the hell rains down in the West, I mean, I don't know how we can convince them. If it isn't enough to, for your college student that you can't believe is telling you right now how bad the Jews were for inducing the mass rape and murder against civilians, those horrible people, they had it coming. If your kid is doing that, you lost this fight, because the institutions of public education have already undone your core value system and replaced it with their own. It's take your kids out of these institutions. You don't need all the stuff. Educate your kids, stay at home with your kids. The most safest place for your kids is in your house with you guiding their development, their growth, because you're the only one who loves them.
Well, moving forward, what you said is exactly right. And if you still don't think, Mom and Dad, that these are the worst places in the world for your kids, these daycares, these colleges, these public schools, how about this story from New Jersey? We actually have a New Jersey grade school janitor, the custodian for 5 and 6 year olds. You know who I'm talking about here? A janitor who allegedly contaminated the kids' food with his own bodily fluids. He called it the devil's work and a sexual fetish. So you got this clown here in New Jersey who is putting semen and snot and God knows what in your grade school kids' lunches. And, this is business as usual. I mean, we're talking about staff now. It's not the teachers, just the teachers or the superintendents overseeing this kind of chaos. From the top to the bottom, these institutions are corrupted. And I want to say this, and we'll take a
even in the janitorial staff too. What was your first clue? The eyeliner? I don't know. That was mine.
Take a look at the video.
What is clear, he is a substantial risk to the community at large.
Giovanni Impellizzeri didn't say anything during his virtual detention hearing in Cumberland County Superior Court. The prosecutor ran down a lengthy list of disgusting allegations.
There's also a video from the defendant's phone where he takes a dish sponge from the sink in what appears to be a teacher's lounge. He uses sponge to wipe urinals and clean the toilet before putting the sponge back where he got it from.
Prosecutors also allege Impellizzeri, a custodian, put feces in taco meat at the school, rubbed bread on his genitals, and sprayed bleach on vegetables to be served to kids at Elizabeth F. Moore School in Upper Deerfield Township.
In response to someone saying, "Let us know if anyone gets sick," the defendant replies, "I sure hope so. That's the plan."
Prosecutors also say Impellizzeri performed similar acts at a tanning salon off school property. In a messaging platform, he allegedly claimed these actions were part of a sexual fetish. Yesterday, Impellizzeri was also charged with possession and distribution of child pornography. His defense attorney argued that he needs to work with mental health professionals.
What screamed out to me is mental health, crisis, mental illness.
We spoke with mother Tabitha Thomas, who is considering homeschooling her children after this and other incidents at the schools.
I did keep them home this week because I feel that I want answers and we're not getting them.
So she's only considering homeschool, Vicki.
Just considering it. You just had a guy who is steeped in the most despicable and disgusting, kink and fetish, using your kids to get off. But you're just considering homeschool. Uncle. What is it going to take? That's like one of the worst examples, and that's only going to make you consider doing it. I don't know. I kind of really want to have the ability to have my ATV and my motorcycle and all the cool stuff, but yeah, the whole janitor rubbing feces on my kids' food, it's a tough call.
The last thing I want you to do is answer this question. Tell me what the difference is between teaching your kid about anal sex at age 6 or LGBTQ radical sexuality in middle school and the fetishist that this guy was using the kids for. This guy was doing the kind of fetishes that these kids are learning about in schools.
Yes.
So isn't there a connection there?
Of course there is. And in fact, explicit materials that are presented even in Wisconsin schools say, go online and look at porn. Here are some Planned Parenthood sex education materials suggest you consider, although it might be unsafe, to play with bodily fluids. experiment with those kinds of things. I'm trying to not be too graphic here. So yeah, when you've got college campuses like the University of Wisconsin-Platteville advertising an event that's going to teach everybody how to do kink, which can be defined as anything you want, and we're calling that, I don't know, some gender affirmation or crap like that. Yeah, you're going to get more Giovanni, whatever the heck his name is, guyliner guy, messing with your kids. But again, you just weigh that against maybe, having to do without, some cool toy that you'd like to have before your children are old enough to leave the house.
Why punish the guy? Why not make him the director of health and human growth in the elementary school? And that's
by the way, why are we talking about mental illness when the guy says he's doing it to get off and because he worships Satan? Well, who is that clown show woman talking about mental illness? Get serious.
Well, and by the way, are you suggesting, ma'am, that mental health and weird fetishes are the same thing? I think so. So why are we teaching fetishes to our kids? Doesn't it stand to reason?
And then calling it a mental health crisis? Come on.
Right, exactly. Gender affirmation. And that's going to wrap up the show. If you enjoy the program, please subscribe to our audio podcast. Simply search Dr. Duke Show on your favorite platform. And don't forget to follow us on Rumble. Visit rumble.com/FreedomProject and follow us. For all of us at the Dr. Duke Show and for Vicki McKenna, thanks. And we will see you very, very soon.